This episode of Grounded in Maine is sponsored by ESG Review. ESG Review magazine is published quarterly in February, May, August, and November, and is available for free in print and digital formats. ESG Review is devoted to environmental, social, and governance strategies, technologies, and investments. ESGreview.net is updated every Wednesday with 8 new stories and is home to feature articles, news items, and more. Visit esgreview.net to stay informed and help us spark the collaboration and awareness needed to develop sustainable economies and communities around the world.
There's a place where there's no trouble, no more pain, no more struggle.
Hello, thank you so much for listening to Grounded in Maine today. My name is Amy. My guest today is Carmen Leal, and we just met on a Facebook group recently, and Carmen lives in Wisconsin, but she is from Hawaii, and she has some stories to share. And so I'm thrilled to have you on today, Carmen. How are you today?
Thank you. I am fine, and I actually am not from Hawaii.
Oh,
I have lived in Kansas, Brazil. Let's see, Kansas, Brazil, Illinois, Hawaii, Florida, Hawaii, Wisconsin.
Wow.
With a stop in West Africa. So I've lived lots of places.
Wow. A
Yes.
woman of the world.
Yes.
You've seen a lot. That's very cool. So, and Carmen, you wanted to come on and talk about a couple of things. The one that I remember most is about dogs. You have a story that brought you to your dog, and you are very passionate about that. I'd love for you to tell us the story.
Thank you. So people always ask me, Hawaii, why would you move to Wisconsin? And I'll frequently get, Ben, you must be brain damaged. And I go, I am. And they go, ha, ha, ha. And I go, no, I am.
No, really.
No, really. And that's where our story begins. So I had moved back to Hawaii, happily married to husband number 3, and having the best life. I was a concierge. I got to do everything for free. I had to swim with dolphins. I had to go on helicopter rides. I had to go to luau's.
That's rough.
It was, such a rough life, but someone had to do it. And we were at a gorgeous beach over in Kaneohe. We were driving to a book club because reading is a passion. And I was the passenger with my head angled down, texting to get the address of the book club. My husband was driving. We stopped, legal stop at a stoplight. And before I knew it, wham, the largest SUV possible slammed into us at 5:00 in the evening. She had fallen asleep at the wheel. We found out she was going to her 3rd job with her kids in the back seat. They were fine because they're driving a tank. We're in a Subaru, little tiny Outback. I'm not fine. My head snapped, major whiplash, and my hand flew up and whacked me in the head. And I didn't know it at the time, but I was severely injured. And I've had a headache since June 18th, 2015. It went from a level 10. It's usually a 4 or 5 now. It's manageable, but I see your doggy. Hi, doggy. But when I realized I just could not work. Dealing with people all day is hard. Dealing with tourists when expectation doesn't meet reality in any industry.
It's double, yeah.
You have to know how to handle it. And I am very good at conflict resolution, very good at making people happy, very good at sales. But when you have a headache and you have a major concussion, that filter doesn't work on your brain. And after several incidents, I realized I am not ready for prime time. But I made most of the money. And I told my husband, living in Hawaii is super wonderful. Living there broke is not so much.
Sure.
It's as simple as that. And so I looked around, where have I lived? And I gave you the list. Where would I want to go? Places I want to go simply were lateral moves. I love San Diego. Not moving there for financial,
Right.
so my son ended up in Wisconsin because he married a girl. He went to law school there. They settled in Oshkosh. So that's where we moved with no research. No research. It was one quick trip. We saw 30 houses, chose the house, went back home, did everything long distance, and arrived in March, which any of your
Oh, in
listeners thinking
March.
of moving from sun to not sun, I really don't suggest March. My doctor was an osteopath, and I actually dedicate my book to him, which is kind of odd to have a dedication to your doctor when you're writing a book about rescue dogs. But he kept saying, get a dog, get a dog. And I said, I will never get a dog again. I no. And there's a story in the book. It's called King Brutus. There's one called A Mutt Named George. You will understand why I said no more dogs ever again. He said the dog will change your life. I said, no, I don't even want a plant. I want nothing I have to take care of. I cannot take care of myself. And so for 2 years, I muddled through in Hawaii. We arrived here and things went from bad to worse. Moving is hard. Recreating a life that you love and trading it in is really hard. So in October, I realized I can't make it. I was so suicidal. I used to sit at my computer after work and I would Google how many pills of each medication should I take in which order so I will die and not be in a coma. That was my goal. And I Googled that in all different variations.
Wow.
Just way too many times. So we got here, that continued. I didn't have friends, didn't have church, I just didn't have.
And no sun. And no sun is not helpful.
No son, and the SON that I had is a full-time attorney. I didn't see them as much as I thought I would.
Right.
And so I decided, fine, I'll get a dog. I'm gonna name this dog Xanax, because if it doesn't work, like all the pills did not work, I'll throw that one away. My husband can take it. So, but even I realize that's not probably a good name for dogs. So I Googled the shelters nearest. I had never rescued a dog. I didn't know about rescues. I didn't know they cost money. Because I thought, hey, I'm doing you a favor. Let me take this dog off your hands.
Right.
And I wasn't going to get a dog that day. I was simply going in to do the smell test. Does it smell awful? Is it clean enough? Let me find the vibe, and then I'll go to another shelter because I like doing research. And so I'm going to go to a whole bunch of different places and then find the perfect dog. The subtitle of my book is Imperfectly Perfect Rescue Dogs and Their Humans. Because nobody's perfect.
I love it.
But in their imperfections, they become perfect for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I wanted that exact title. So the owner's name is Jim. My husband, he loved dogs and he was thrilled, not with the brain damage, but he was thrilled to get a dog.
Yeah.
And so he chooses the dogs that he thinks are going to be good, going on the computer, looking at the bios, and the dogs come in and they all go to him and they treat me like I don't exist. And so after the third dog, I said, you would think if it's my emotional support dog, it should be a dog who comes to me.
Right.
And so the owner said, what do you want in a dog? I said, well, I want a dog that doesn't lick, that doesn't jump, that doesn't bark, that doesn't get on furniture, that doesn't sleep with you. That's what I want. And he said, you don't really want a dog, do you? I said, nope. And he said, I have the perfect dog for you. I have the perfect dog. He leaves, he comes in, and this little nothing of a dog, just, you know how you look at dogs and there's some that are flashy like huskies and they have different color eyes. Or they're just really cute little muffy dogs. No, this was just a dog. It turns out he was 12 pounds underweight. He was the little brown dog with the black tail. I really can't say that he was adorable. He wasn't special. But that dog walked in and he sat in front of me.
Aww.
And only me. And he stared at me like, I dare you.
Oh my gosh.
That dog chose me. And so the title, I Chose You, says we each have to choose each other. If we don't choose each other both, it's going to be a harder transition.
Sure.
And we went home with the dog that day. And that dog saved my life. And it was a rough start. I didn't know. You leave a dog. You don't leave a dog the first night and go to the theater when your husband's, I thought, well, I have to pick up some poop. I have hardwood floors, big deal. Well, there was that, and the formerly beautiful silk drapes that we had negotiated on the 106-inch windows were gone, and the bedroom drapes were gone, and the shades were gone, and he knocked over the pantry, and he ate macadamia nuts, which are allegedly poisonous to dogs, and we ended up in the vet clinic the next day because he could not walk. I call that my $3,000 night of joy. And it was just a very steep learning curve. But that rescue owner, that man from New Possibilities, was with me every step of the way. And every question I had, he was very patient. And he helped me. And when things calmed down, I said, I need to say thank you to my dog and to this man. And my background's in marketing. And I said, hey, Jim, you guys are really, really good at dogs. And you really suck at marketing. I can't stand it. I'll volunteer. So I started writing doggy bios, and then I redesigned the logo. And
it's so perfect.
And it gave me a purpose. It gave me a reason to get up each day. It helped me to realize I'm not dead. I have deficiencies. I will always have them. It has been a journey, and it will continue to be. But there's always someone out there like me that needs a dog. This rescue in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, rescued dogs from a high-kill shelter in Kentucky. And when I met you on this podcast list, and I said what I did, what I wanted to be on a show, and you said, "Oh, I just want to hang out and talk dogs, but I don't know if you're right for the show." I said, "Of course I am, because why would you buy a dog when you can recycle a dog?" This is a sustainable topic as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
We don't need to be making dogs when there are so many dogs that are going to be put to death, or at the very best, live in a kennel for the rest of their life. Right. That is not a life. Right. New Possibilities rescued in 10 years over 12,000 dogs. And I was involved in 6,500 of those dogs.
Oh, and my gosh.
I decided, and COVID was awful. Funding collapsed, employee. It was just, as you're going to hear the story with businesses and nonprofits, and sadly, they could not sustain it. And they did close the doors in September of last year. But before that, in 21, I said, hey, Jim, why don't I write a book? Remember I said I'd never have a dog? I also said I'd never move back to the Midwest. And I said I will never, ever write another book, because I'd already written 10 books.
Oh my gosh.
I had to teach myself how to read again. I had to teach myself so many cognitive things, and it just seemed too hard. But I knew I had stories to share. And so I collected about 90 stories from 45 different authors and just regular people all over the country. I put a call out and I said, do you have a rescue dog? Do you want to share a story?
Oh, I wish I had known.
Well, I have 2 more books in the series, so we'll work on that. And your listeners, let me tell you, we're way too young for the new one, but the third one you can. So the next book, which the working title is I Still Choose You. Every author is 55 or older, because there are reasons why people in that last quarter or last third of their life should get a dog, but those reasons are different. Mm-hmm. And the dogs they get are different. Mm-hmm. And I saw so many people surrendering dogs because they got the wrong dog at the wrong time. And so my goal with the new book is to capture those stories of people like me who thought life was over, who needed companionship, who needed a friend, who needed a purpose. Dogs do that. They do. So
100%.
from saying I will never write a book to now I'm into book 2 and then book 3. The third book is getting a dog when you have kids. So that's it's called the Wagging Tails series. Yeah.
Fun.
So I started a little publishing company called Wag Away Publishing. My dog continues. A portion of every book that is sold goes to a rescue. And it's been going to various, but I think I finally found a foster-based rescue that gets their dogs from Alabama. And I think that'll be my key rescue, and I'll figure that out on Saturday when I meet with them. But so to me, it is sustainable, it is humane, it is healthy, and really, you rescue a dog, the dog rescues you.
It's the best thing for everybody.
I mean, I knew I needed rescuing, but a lot of people don't know that. But that dog rescues you and you rescue the dog. When I told my grandson that he came and saw the house and he saw a fence, he said, "Grandma, you have a fence, you can get a dog." Because I guess that was one reason why Dad said no dogs. And I said, "Oh, I'm not getting a dog." And he goes, "Yeah, you can get a dog and you can name him Coconut." I said, "Coconut? Why would I name a dog Coconut?
Definitely not do that.
I mean, why would I do this?" And he said, "Well, duh, his mommy and daddy are from Hawaii. What are you going to name him? Pineapple?" Fair enough. Now, had I known COVID was coming and there's going to be lockdown, all that craziness, I would have named him Mai Tai. Because I think Mai Tai probably would have worked this as well. But when he rolls up in his little ball with his little brown self, he kind of looks like a coconut. So it's a perfect. Yeah. So that's my rescue dog story.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah, and it's been really fun getting reactions from people. It's available on Amazon, and when you write a book, it's really scary putting it out there in the world. You have readers, and then you have
Critics,
and there's such a process to get it, and you're always scared, at least I am, that it's not good enough, that people aren't going to get it, that I'm going to get that 1-star review, that people are going to trash it. People have just been so gracious. I have it came out in September. I have 52 5-star reviews. That's it, just 5-star. So,
oh my gosh.
And people are just so kind. Every book sending I do, I sell out. And rescue dogs are just special. There is a difference.
It's so true. It's so true. And people have such a big spot in their heart for the rescues if they've known one.
What's really cool is you're not just saving a life when you rescue, you're making room in a kennel for another dog. So when you rescue one dog, you're really rescuing 2. And depending upon how long that dog was in the book, I have a story about Rusty and Pepper. And Rusty was with us for 2 years. He was just a high energy dog. And people would adopt him and bring him back and adopt him and bring him back because he was just too high energy. And then Pepper came, and kind of the same. And it's hard when a dog is 60, 70 pounds and high energy. It takes a special family to do that. So Pepper was with us for 18 months. And we never gave up on them. They eat a lot. They require work. But that space, the number of dogs that could have been rescued, because the rescue that we worked with, a dog would come in on Tuesday and be usually gone Saturday.
Right.
Maybe a week max. Do the math.
Right.
If a dog is there for 52 weeks, it's 1 year. Okay, so 104 weeks. You're looking at least 104 dogs who could have been there. What happened to those dogs in Kentucky? That was the poorest county in the state, in Appalachia. Poorest county in Appalachia. So what would happen to those 104 dogs that didn't get to come to Wisconsin? Right. We were the only large all-breed rescuer. Other people would say, I only want the small dogs. I only want poodles. I only want huskies. I only want, but we
Mm-hmm.
took everything. We took everything from three-legged dogs to dogs who had epilepsy to dogs who had been shot in the head and had a bullet lodged in there that you couldn't move. But one thing I do want people to know is most dogs who are not there, who are there in a shelter, they're not bad dogs. They're dogs in a bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you the number of dogs who were there because their owner went into a nursing home,
Mm-hmm.
because their owner died, because the family got evicted, because someone got a job transfer
Or
and,
divorce.
or a divorce. The majority of dogs in shelters are not bad dogs. They're dogs in bad situations. And the forward of my book is written by a gentleman named R. Ruddle Weatherwax. How about
Wow.
yeah, that's his name. And I've never met him, but it was a connection with an editor I knew. And the name of Weatherwax is Hollywood Legend. And Hollywood Legend wrote my forward. He wrote a book called The Weatherwax Method, Weatherwax Way, sorry. And it's all about dog training.
Hmm.
His
And he wrote the foreword.
he wrote the forward,
That's amazing.
which is one of those things where when I put on Facebook, I'm writing a book, I want stories. This guy said, hey, one of my clients just wrote a book. You should contact him. And we went back and forth in email. But his grandfather trained Asta from the Thin Man movie
Wow.
and trained a little dog you may have heard of named Toto from The Wizard of Oz.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, the author trained the dog from Back to the Future. But his father trained all the lassies. So Hollywood royalty. And when he wrote in his foreword, which I never thought of, and I don't think many people did, he said, Hollywood would like you to make you think that all people have purebred dogs.
Right.
But the reason why is it's easier to cast a stunt double.
Oh.
Pretty cool, right?
Right?
It's not that they're being elitist. It's if you do my dog in a movie with his uniqueness, he can't have a stunt double.
Mm-hmm.
He can't have a stand. I mean, I thought that, wow, that was really cool. But the one thing that he said, and the forward, he talks all about the value of a mutt and why the health benefits and the cost and all this is really sustainable reasons why
Right.
a mutt is there for you. But then he said, the next time you want a dog, think with your heart, not with your pocketbook.
Yeah.
And go to your local shelter. And the number of purebred dogs in shelters and designer dogs. I can't tell you all the doodles we but there's
Right?
just, again, not bad dogs in bad situations. So, yeah. But let me tell you, sustainability, what else helped me that I never thought would.
Yes, please.
So my website is carmenleal.com. That's CarmenLeal.com. And if you go there, you'll see my tagline. You'll see storyteller, because as you can tell, I love to tell stories. You'll see coconut's mom, and you'll see reluctant gardener. I do not like gardening. That is not my thing. We bought this house never really thinking about the yard. Said, oh, I want a 2-story home. I want it to be a character home. It was built in 1875. I want a project house. I want 2 bathrooms. You make all your it's. You tick all them off. It never dawned on me to really look at the yard or think about the yard. And I realized once I got here, I made a big mistake.
Oh.
When spring and summer came, I realized I did not buy a house. I bought a yard full of weeds with a house thrown in. It was pretty horrible what was happening up back there. And I didn't know how to start. I had a garden once in Illinois, but it was just contained. I mean, gardening for food is a lot different than gardening just to garden and make things pretty. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know where to start, but I'm good at asking questions and I'm good at spending other people's money. We had a flooding problem in our backyard
Oh.
to the point where the first year we didn't get to take out our trash and recycling for 3 weeks because they were out in front, on the apron, on the concrete, and it flooded after a thaw and a rain, and then
Mm.
it froze, and we couldn't get them out. And so we had a big problem, and I didn't know how to solve that problem, but I knew it had to be solved. And so we ended up, I heard about a grant. I had no idea what a rain garden was. No.
Oh, I've never heard of that either. Is it just to
Oh,
like stop erosion?
um, a rain garden, what it does is it's planted in the very lowest part of your yard. Not every place can have a rain garden. And the idea is that the water will stay in the yard. It will not filter out into the sewer system where they then have to clean it up so you can drink it.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't want motor oil. We don't want fertilizer. We don't want pest. We don't want any of those things in our water.
Mm-hmm.
And I live in an urban area. And of course, in the urban area, you've got all these people who are doing life. And so everything goes in your water, which is not necessarily safe.
Mm, right.
But a rain garden, besides the fact that it traps that water in the ground, it will take the rainwater and it will trap that as well. So instead of whoosh out, it stays in. But a rain garden is very specific. And this is where sustainability comes in, is a rain garden has to be all native plants. All native plants.
Oh, okay.
Native plants are how bees
Right.
and butterflies and all those things that help us to have food, that help everything to stay the way it was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
That is the biggest start. It takes away grass, which is useless.
Right?
Which is useless. Now, I didn't know any of this when I moved in. I just knew I cannot live in this utter nonsense. And
In
I
this
can't
swamp.
have a swamp. Our garage concrete is all cracked from all that water in there year after year after year. So our local Rotary was giving away rain garden grants
Oh my
because
gosh.
they care about sustainability, they care about the environment, they care about beauty, they care about making our town better. So
Mm-hmm.
they were giving away 4 grants. And I thought, great, other people's money. Let's use that. So I put an application in. It was a grant with the Southwest Rotary Oshkosh and the Winnebago County. And the county guy came out and he measured and he says, yep, you're perfect. And so we got our seed money, forgive the pun, for seed money. And I didn't know anything. But along with this grant came 2 Rotarians that agreed to help us.
Oh, so cool.
And so I learned the best way to kill grass and weeds is to put cardboard over it for a season. And weeds and grass need sunlight. If you cardboard it, what happens?
There's no good night. Yeah.
And then in the spring, you get rid of all that and you have nice earth. Native plants love crappy soil. You've never driven across any state where you see the blue bonnets in Texas or you see whatever is in Maine.
Right.
You don't see people there pulling weeds. You don't see, they thrive.
True.
And so I didn't have to spend, I didn't have to get landscapers. I didn't have to spend lots of money. I spent money on plants. And I decided I'm not going the seed route because I don't want to fail. So we got plugs. We found a company that only does native plants. And you've never been so terrified as to put an order in and they ship them to you. And then you just have these boxes and they have to be in the ground by a certain amount of time. Oh, is it going to rain? But it worked. It absolutely worked. And we've got the most beautiful garden. We're in year 4 coming up. And so many kinds of butterflies and the bees everywhere.
Oh.
And so we added a second section of our own money. And then sadly, my husband's son died of COVID in 2020.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, he would have been 45 in a couple of weeks. And so it was a tragic time. It was just horrible for everyone. And so we wanted to do a memorial garden for him.
Mhm.
And so I planted black-eyed Susans, 150 square feet, because black-eyed Susans are the very first plants that come back after times of fire, flood, and calamity. That's what it said. And I
Oh,
said, if COVID wasn't a calamity, I don't know what is. So
right.
so we planted those
And they're so
because
cheery.
they're cherry, but you know what else? They self-seed.
Yeah, they
And then
do.
when you have other people, this year I got a Girl Scout troop is doing a native garden, and they got to come and take my black-eyed Susans. I can do cut flower arrangements for somebody who's sad, somebody who's lost someone.
Hmm.
And they're so we have the majority of our yard is now natives. We both of us knew nothing. But flowers and plants, they're resilient. They bring you joy, like my dog brings me joy. I can't say I love gardening, but I can say I love the results. I love the fact that I'm giving back. I
Hmm.
know my little thing that I'm doing to pollinate plants is going to down the road mean somebody else eats. That,
Absolutely.
so when I saw your topic of sustainability, I said, yeah, kind of as a joke, my dog, but I really do have sustainability. And
Yeah.
then the other thing we did is we ripped out grass up front. Grass is useless. It doesn't have any value at all. And we have the phlox, which are bee magnets, and we have sedum. And then we
Hmm.
took out more and more. And then last year we took out the parkway in front of the street,
Hmm.
and then we hired someone to come plant native grasses and plants. And that's our goal, is getting rid of every shred of grass. And it's working. And we're
Oh.
just seeing it's so funny because I haven't announced it officially, but this reluctant gardener who said she would never live in the Midwest, she would never have a dog, she would never write a book, and she absolutely would never have a garden ever, has been asked, and I wish I had long hairs like yours, has been asked to have her house as one of the official houses on the garden
Garden
tour this
tour.
year.
Yes.
Is that a hoot?
I love it. That's so perfect.
I know. So in July, we're going to have all the people coming. But let me tell you what else is really fun. We decided, no, we had a fence. We thought it just wasn't dog proof. We
Mhm.
found out. And there are way too many stories in this book about the dog running out, middle of the night runs, shaking the
Mm.
bag treat to get him back. So we needed to dog proof this. And people started giving us doors. And my yard has, let's see, 21 antique door panels.
That's fun.
Yes, we're not calling it a fence, it's yard art. But it's bright and it's cheerful. And then I am a thrifter and a resale shop and a consigner, which is also a way to be sustainable.
Oh my gosh.
If you
Yeah.
look around in this room, you're seeing that beautiful shelf there. That was from Maui, but I got it at a resale shop in Oshkosh. The stained glass was made all of old glass that someone put together into the screen. The chair, the desk I'm sitting at is actually an old spinet piano.
Oh,
That
I love the stained glass. It's gorgeous.
that was a great story. I mean, I've got so many amazing pieces in my house that all came from resale shops. You don't need to spend a lot, but you can have unique, wonderful, colorful. Everything has a story.
Mm-hmm.
If I bought something new, it was because there was no choice. And to
Right.
me, that is sustainable. Just because it doesn't work for someone else, or they died, or they moved, or those kind of things, you just can't. We cannot throw them in trash heaps
Mm-hmm.
and expect our world to thrive. We just can't.
Right.
So I never knew that I felt so passionate about that until I moved. So for somebody who had a different plan,
Right.
I feel like sustainability is I was able to retrain my brain. I didn't have to give up. I didn't die. That's sustainable. Sustainability comes in all different shapes and sizes. And that's important for your viewers and your listeners to understand. It's not just about becoming self-sufficient through growing food and that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's very good. But sustainability means different things to different people. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I love that. I love your passion for it. I love the surprise because I did not see that coming. I love when more comes out than I expect. And like you said, like it's not just gardening or recycling. Like there's so many ways to be sustainable.
The
And it
things
doesn't
that
have
we think of, living, I need to tell my husband one thing. Okay?
Okay.
Gary, can you turn off the soup? we don't want boiled much. I do bulk cooking, which is another way to be sustainable. So I go to Costco and Woodman's and different stores and I buy everything and I cook for 3 days and it lasts me about 5 months. And I pack the freezer. That was the first purchase we made, was getting an electrician to rewire that back of the house. We could have that freezer. Though I have no food waste and my budget is so much lower than people who are, rightfully complaining about food prices.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't hurt me as much because I can pull things out of that freezer. I repurpose leftovers like nobody's business. That's sustainability. So
Absolutely.
thank you for letting me have him go in and do that and I'm just real excited because he had knee replacement in December and he has another one coming up in 2 weeks. And by gardening season, man, he's going to be right there. I finally got a weed picker. I can say, you cannot complain about, I can't bend down anymore.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yeah. So what are you growing in your rain garden, Carmen?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I know you got black-eyed Susans, but that's in a memorial garden.
Yeah.
You said phlox.
You know what? I'm going to look it up because I know I'm going to say it wrong. See, because I'm not a gardener. So I have to get my cheat sheet. So here we go. There is, and I will say it will depend upon your zone.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't know anything about zones. So I had to learn about that. So it will depend upon your zones. And for anybody who is starting a rain garden or any of those kinds of projects, honestly, go to your local expert.
Mm-hmm.
And we were blessed because we found someone who had a great catalog and had a wonderful eye. And so all we ended up doing was saying, here's our space. And they just sent us and they designed it. So I'm going to give you the English word. We have red milkweed.
Okay.
We have, the New England asters. And the cool thing about this garden is it starts and then it ends up, when one plant dies, another one comes. So there's a variety of colors and there's a variety of seasons. And so it starts all the way from early June, even in May, and it goes all the way through until November. You have all that color. Not in every spot, but there's always something to see, which is really what I love about that. We have Joe Pye weed, which is awesome for butterflies and bees. These are all self-seeders. So we spent about $2,000 total on these plants over 2 years. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say we probably have about $10,000 worth of plants now. And so people can come in now and we give it away so that people can start their own garden.
Right.
Which I love being able to share like that.
Yeah.
Because plants are not cheap. And when people say, oh, I'm in a garden, I'm like, okay, get out your checkbook because it ain't cheap.
Right.
We have rose mallow. We have, blazing star, which are these long, thin, purple, almost like Dr. Seuss plants.
Huh.
And it's really fun because you can get out there when you walk there and you can see the bees just killing them. I mean, they're just, by the time the season's over, everything's gone.
It's just a stock.
It's just a stock. And I didn't expect that. So that was a surprise. We have bergamot
Okay.
and mountain mint, which is like catnip, and boy, does that spread. And we've got yellow, oh, so many coneflowers. There's all different color coneflowers. We have lots of those. And we have goldenrod. That's the first that comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Ironweed. Our ironweed, you have ironweed and giant ironweed. We've got ironweed, which is about 10 feet tall. I kid you not.
I've never heard of ironweed.
Yeah, it's purple. It's beautiful. Golden Alexanders. And then we have a lot of native grasses that keep all that water in. The cool thing about a native garden, I never have to water again.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 years ago, when we had a drought, and people were saying, "Oh, my water bill from keeping my grass alive, keeping my plants alive." I'm like, because I never have to water again.
Right.
Which is a huge sustainability issue.
Absolutely.
And when you're looking at places like in California, I mean, places that have a rain shortage. I lived in the Sahara Desert for 2 years in the Peace Corps. And when I lived there was during a drought. And I moved from the capital city of Bamako to Gao, which is in above Timbuktu. So if I ever write a memoir, because I was born in Topeka, Kansas, my memoir is called From Topeka to Oshkosh with a stop in Timbuktu. 3 places people do not think are real, but they are. So, but we lived on the Niger River, but we only had a river 3 months out of the year.
Oh, wow.
I only had water for 30 minutes a day. And if I overslept at 4:30 in the morning, when it was my 30
You
minutes
missed your
of water,
chance.
I missed it. So I had my bathroom water, my cooking water, my cleaning up water. I had all the different containers of water. And if I overslept, I had no water. I did have a garden the last year, and sand is great to grow plants in, but only if you can get it water. And so I had to put mosquito netting over my garden so all the bugs wouldn't eat everything. You've never lived till you've gardened in the Sahara Desert under a mosquito net. Wow. It was horrible, but I had huge melons and great peppers, but I had to go in there with a container and a calabash, which is a gourd that's dried me like a spoon, and I had to hand water on my plants. But I had food when others didn't.
Right.
But when you think about, I mean, I didn't have a toilet. I didn't have a stove. Wood is hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to really conserve. It was just the things that we take for granted in the Western world. You don't ever take it for granted. And that's something I think my passion for sustainability, my passion for helping people really did come
The Peace Corps.
from living that way, because that will touch you and you'll never change. And it's so easy to take for granted what we have, but not everyone has it. I love your podcast. I love your message that you are getting people to understand sustainability starts with you, as cliche as it sounds.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be something huge, but it is something that
we can all do.
We can all do something, and it will change our world.
How can people find you?
Perfect question. So I mentioned my website,
Right.
CarmenLeal.com, CarmenLeal.com. My book is called I Chose You, Imperfectly Perfect Rescue Dogs and Their Humans. You can find that on my website. I have another website, Wag Away Publishing, which is devoted to the book. And of course, it's on Amazon because they're the largest bookseller in the world. So I Chose You, and my name, and you'll pop right up. Easy to find.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Thank you. I hope that you have a great evening.
You too.
I'll be in touch soon.
Fun. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. I just want to take a moment and thank my guest again for speaking with me and sharing such great information. I also need to thank Buzzsprout for hosting this podcast, for Jane Bolduck and her amazing music genius, for Becca Coffron and her beautiful artwork. And I'd like to thank you for listening. Please check out the show notes. I'm going to have links posted in there if you would like to follow this guest and learn more about them. Thank you again. We'll talk to you soon.
There'll come a day, my mama told me, when I find love to have and hold me, a heart that's strong and so sincere. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? Oh, tell me, get there from here, 'cause here and now I'm so far down that mercy's bound to find me. We'll find a way to soothe the sickness, we'll heal the hate with sweet forgiveness. Wages of war will disappear. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? I wonder, how do I get there from here? Yeah, 'cause here and now I'm so far down that mercy's bound to find me. When that state of grace has finally found me, well, there'll be music, ooh, and good friends around me, yeah. And I'll just smile through happy tears and wonder,